Hello and welcome to Gaia Blooming GPS. This is where we come pull cards for the Astro week and shifts ahead. I am Mimi. I'm here with Nicole Oman.
Hi.
And we're going to start with us being in the last week of Mercury retrograde. Woo! I think this retrograde has seemingly gone by pretty fast, because I remember when we did the recording for it, it was like, oh my gosh, this feels like it's going to be so long. And here we are in the last week, finishing up the final lessons around this retrograde. And the two cards that I'm going to start off with is Compromise in Reverse and Truth Be Told. And so this Mercury retrograde in Taurus has been helping us like dive into our worth, look at our stuff around our worth. And I think it's really interesting that these two cards, they're kind of really in alignment. Truth Be Told is allowing yourself to look at the truths. It's asking you to tell the truth. And I think the Compromise card is also kind of saying the same thing. Don't compromise yourself. Be in integrity with your truth around your worth around your worth to yourself, your truth around your worth to others. There may be a situation where you need to assert yourself. Stop suppressing yourself. This is ringing true. I know. So stop suppressing yourself. Get out of this compromise and tell your truth. And you know what I really love about this picture? You can see this. This owl here has like this open window to its heart, and you see all these heart-shaped leaves basically coming through. This is going to be a heart opening experience. And look, here's this heart connection here. Ultimately, this is going to bring harmony. So you may be afraid to tell the truth because you may be afraid of the consequences, but ultimately this is going to be a good thing. This is going to bring harmony. I also pulled the Isis card, past life thing. So this may be connecting to some kind of past life issue. I know, am I talking right to you? I'm like, oh, how funny, these cards. This may be connected to a past life issue. So this may really help, with all this retrograde, this may help loose some, I don't know, karmic cords that have been holding on, that have maybe been, keeping you in suppression instead of this place of harmony. So be willing to speak your truth. You are worth your truth. Nicole?
Yeah.
Just for you.
Mine are very similar too. I'm getting, if you've been holding off on trying to make a decision, it feels like there's a bit, I have this schizophrenia card, and this is a card that can get you stuck on the pros and cons and like really trying to think. What?
Stop recording.
Why?
Because you need to put this on.
Oh, Ryan, we're live.
That's okay. That's cute.
Exactly. Stop recording. My Daenerys shirt. Thank you.
Cute.
Oh, Lord. All right. And on we go. So what I'm getting with the schizophrenia card is you might be going back and forth, and you're going to have to, the back and forth is just stressing you out, really. That more than anything, it's not really doing you any good. You're weighing out like your emotions, but it's how much are you going to weigh out your emotions? Your emotions are going to just take over no matter what. So I get this. This is the card of innocence. So it's like, slow down, be simple, connect. And, this is what I love about this. It's like the master looking at nature in a way and learning from that. So it's like, if you are getting in your head, it's just spinning you out, it's stressing you out. I have this stress card in reverse. Instead, get simple, connect to nature. All you need to know and all the awarenesses you need to know are there when you just let everything go and get really, really simple. I also have the immunity card. The immunity card means that you're safe, you're protected. Whatever you think is happening, it's all in your head more than it is actually happening. So you got to get out. That's such a good one for me too. It's like all the things that you are making the worst case scenario isn't really happening. You are, in reality, you're safe. And you don't have to worry about that. That's so funny. I'm like, where are you guy? What is going on? This is really cute though.
That is really cute. I love it.
My gosh, look at my mother dragons. I love her so much, by the way. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
Anyways.
That was worth stopping the recording, even if we're not going to stop the recording.
What's he talking about? Why would he come in the middle of my thing? But whatever.
I was like, is there an emergency? It was.
Yeah, I know. I got a little worried too. I'm like, what? What, are you okay?
All right, so moving on to the moon in Libra today. You know, it's interesting. I have the Innocence card, like Nicole just pulled for this week. And what's coming up, I'm going to start with this card. Breathe. Slow down. You know, Libra loves things to be in order. I want it in order. I want it to look good. I want it to kind of be perfect, beautiful by my vision. And I think these cards, breathe, infinite supply, conditioning, innocence, and aloneness, and then guilt. All of these together to me are kind of saying, like, we've been conditioned to do things in this non-natural order. Like, we're not even breathing in our natural, like, slow, deep breaths. We usually are breathing very shallowly, like, oh, I have so much to do, I can't even take time to really breathe. I think these things are saying, slow down, like Nikki said, get in nature, get in your nature. Find that centered, balanced place in you. We're building to a full moon this week. We're about to shift signs. We're finishing up Mercury retrograde. Find that slow, balanced, easy place. Get out of the conditioning and guilt that everything has to be done right now. Infinite supply. There's time for everything. Everything that you need is happening. But you've got to slow down. You've got to be breathing. Come into this moment. My horoscope for tomorrow, Moon in Libra for tomorrow, is all about, like, recognizing the beauty that's around you, connecting in, asking for help from your friends. So stop, drop, and chill. And stop trying to make everything happen right now. We're still in this last week of retrograde. We've still got a whole bunch of other retrograding things. It doesn't have to be done now. It is not urgent. Connect into nature, connect into yourself, connect into your light, and let that guide you. And that will help you lead. That will help lead the way. And the perfect moment will occur. Nicole?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that. I feel like the reason why you might get frustrated is because you want it to all happen now. And you might be frustrated that the universe has given you a postponement. And you want to fight that. And I have the postponement card in reverse. But what's happening is the reason why it's postponing is because there's other possibilities that are on the horizon. There are other things that are coming, and you need a broader perspective. You need a higher perspective to really know what you want. And I do feel like whatever's coming through is being helped, and it's a master level thing. So it's like you can't rush or force your destiny. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. So relax. It's all happening in divine timing. You have to see other possibilities. And when you're freaking out because the external isn't looking like what you want it to, you have to start connecting to your inner voice. The inner voice has the message of, don't worry, it's all coming, but you don't have the full vision yet. So it can't come to fruition. It just needs a little time. And then I have the power card, meaning you do have the power to create this, but it was in reverse, meaning your worth also isn't fully online yet. So as your worth comes online, the vision will become clearer, and then you heighten it again, and then it will come clearer, and your perspective will get higher and higher and higher, and then it will start to manifest. But like Mimi said, you just got to breathe, relax. Don't try to force it or rush it in any way. Allow it to flow to you.
Beautiful. Awesome. The next thing, we have the moon shifting into Scorpio late Wednesday. And like I said, we're building to a full moon. We have a full moon on Saturday. So sometimes the building to the full moon can bring intensity. We're also about to shift signs. We're going to shift into Gemini on Friday. So there's a lot of change in the air. And the first card from Wisdom of the Oracles is the flexibility card. And so this is calling you in this energy to be receptive. But I pulled receptivity upside down. You may be wanting to try to control this. That's kind of a Scorpio thing. Scorpio can be like sometimes one of the less fluid of the water signs. This is saying find the fluidity, find the flexibility. Again, kind of like all these readings are kind of flowing. It doesn't have to be right now. There may be some more information or understanding that's going to come through you. I pulled Donna, the High Priestess card. You have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teacher or spiritual teachings. I think some more information, understanding is going to come into you intuitively through this moon in Scorpio. So whatever you're, working on and you're trying to maybe buckle down, make it happen, you're kind of feeling frustrated, maybe feeling a little bit stuck in this energy. It's okay. Be flexible. Find that receptive place. Okay, what does the universe want to tell me? What kind of understanding is it wanting to bring me in this energy? And the final card that I have in this is comparison. Don't compare your path to others. I feel like we all right now have some, I don't want to say stagnance, but it's kind of that cha-cha. There's a lot of this backward energy. And so you might see somebody and be like, but they're doing so well. They're moving so far forward. You might be seeing that, but I guarantee, I talk to so many people on a daily basis, we're all in some kind of retrograde pulling in, you're not alone in this. No need to compare. What you're looking at in them may be moving forward, but we all have our stuff. So be willing to be in that flow for yourself and just pay attention to the higher teachings that are going to be coming in for you. Moon in Scorpio is very intuitive, and be flexible with whatever comes for you during this moon in Scorpio as we build to this full moon. Nicole?
Yeah, I think that I have the rebirth card, and I believe that what's going to happen as the Scorpio is all about rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. I think you're going to get a new perspective on an old situation. And as you get this new perspective, new awareness, when you come out of the shadows and things are starting to become more clear to you, I think a lot of healing can start happening. I have this healing card. And very, very deep healing, but you have to be patient with your own healing process, because what will come to the surface, I have the stress card again, might feel stressful, might unnerve you. Oh, I have to deal with this again. And it might be directly linked to your nervous system. So you have to be patient with this healing process, because you don't want to short circuit yourself. If your wires are being, literally, you might are being rewired internally. And if you put too much added stress on yourself, when your wiring system isn't on full lockdown, you put too much energy on, you're going to short out the system, and that's shorting out yourself. And so that's why there is a bit of this cha-cha, this back and forth, is because you're still getting reprogrammed or rewired. And so some of it's going to be working a little better, but some of it still can't bring in that full power, that full energy, that power card from earlier. I have the card of fearless. So you're going into a time, that's also very Scorpio, is going into a time of letting go of some fears, some deep-seated fears. Well, I'm getting this card a little different. It's not about being fearless. It's about learning how to have a different relationship to your fears. So notice that. I think that's where you're being rewired. I think it has to do with the relationship with fear. And I want you to take that on. I want you to take on your relationship of fear. Where do you show up to fear? What is your current relationship to fear? And how would you rather work with the fear? It's not about getting rid of the fear, but working with it differently. But you got to do it in your own way. Everybody's going to work with that a little, because fear is universal. Everybody has fear. But you will have to learn how to use it in your own specific way that works for you.
Awesome. I love that. So on Friday, we have the sun moving into Gemini. The sun is shifting at 7:36 a.m. on Friday into Gemini. I'm going to show you these 4 cards together because they're all like in alignment. To the sea, easy does it, slow down, and intensity in reverse. And I was like, really? Like, I was kind of looking forward. I was such a Sagittarius. I'm like, can we just move forward? Can we just begin? I also have totality in reverse. And, you know, this energy is kind of saying, like, your mind may be like, okay, here we go. We're going to get started. Mercury is about to go direct. We still have this retrograde. I don't think that this is going to be the same level of slow that it's been, but it's saying, like, it's not going to be suddenly like, ding dong, we're changing, and like everything's going to go move forward. I really like the to the sea message that I'm going to actually read. It says, when external conditions appear to block every attempt to move forward, there's no hidden message for you to decipher. Like the ocean, the tides of experience ebb and flow. You are in a natural cycle. So know that things will flow again in due course. There's no cause for alarm. Stop resisting and fighting against the situation and learn to flow even when the tide is going out. Relax and trust in the abundance that will soon be within your reach again. An ancient mariner's saying applies to you now. When fishermen cannot go to sea, they stay home and repair their nets. And, you know, Sun in Gemini is a really good time to work on the mind energy. And so some of this slowing down, some of this easy going, easy does it, you know, lack of intensity energy may give you a chance to like really rewire your mind. Like Nicole said, Gemini energy can really trigger and bring up the nervous system. This may be part of us like on a universal level, like settling down our nervous systems because we are so stimulated all the time by all this outside stimulus, you know, like there's everything. There's lights and TVs and information at the wazoo. And so this may be a time, this Gemini, to connect into your inner guidance, the source within, the light within you. I also have the friendliness card. This may be a time of, instead of, you know, rushing around, I'm going to get it all done, I'm going to do this, which can be very much the Gemini mentality. You know, Gemini rising here, like I'm going to do this and this and this and this. It may be instead a time of slowing down, connecting with those you love, connecting with what you love. You may find a renewed connection to things that are fun and bring you joy as we, you know, have been going through some major shifts. So slow down and connect into your inner guidance. Again, there's going to be plenty of time for everything to happen, everything to move forward. But right now, like, all of these cards are like, it's not time yet to start rushing forward. And you may find you have a new pace. You know, when I was little, I actually moved from New York to California, and it was amazing how my pace shifted, you know, and that may be kind of like where kind of the world is going right now. For so long, it felt like it was going so fast, so fast, so fast. And now it's almost like, and we're pulling back. We're changing this, we've got to do everything now paradigm to like everything in perfect due timing in the flow. Nicole?
Yeah, I got some interesting, I got a different kind of perspective on this Gemini energy. I have the guidance card, then I have the postponement in reverse, and I also have the possibilities card. And what I'm getting from this, and then I have this card here, it's gifted. And then I pulled the writing card. So, well, I feel like you're going to be guided in this time of Gemini. Gemini to pull writing, because Gemini is all about communication. It's all about getting things like through your words. So it could be speaking or writing, but this, you might want to journal this Gemini period to really get out what you need to get out. But you even might start a blog. You might start writing a book or start writing some of your feelings down, and it becomes like poetry. It's not as creative as poetry. It feels like something, like you're writing something to teach something. So, you know, if it comes out with poetry, great. But I also feel like, you know, if you start writing a self-help book, I wouldn't be surprised. Or like a self-help blog or something of this nature. but you're like expanding your horizons. You're expanding your possibilities of what you feel like you're good at. And you might not feel like you're good at it, but they're saying you can't get good at it until you practice. So this energy, they're saying like, do a new skill, like a practical skill, and really start honing that and manifesting it, because it might be coming, it feels like a God-given gift, an internal gift that you have that's still underdeveloped, that needs to be developed. And don't, like if you've had the idea to write a book or a blog, they're saying don't postpone it anymore, start in Gemini. Start in this Gemini energy.
Love that. That's awesome. All right, so full moon in Sagittarius on Saturday at 2:14 p.m. I have to mention, I think this is so cool. We have astrological blue moon. We have bookend full moons. We have a full moon on Saturday at 1 degree, and then right before Gemini ends, I think it's June 20th, we have another full moon in Sagittarius at 29 degrees. So a lot of Sagittarius full moon energy, but we're beginning at this like low degree, 1 degree for this full moon. And you know, full moons are really interesting because full moons are a time of release, but they're also a time, you know, I think through what we release, we also create a new pattern, a new energy around our manifestation. And I really have that energy here. I have the co-create card from Wisdom of the Oracles, and I also have the Thunderbolt card in reverse. So I feel like this full moon may be bringing some stuff up that needs to be released, some of these past traumas. And part of this release may even be around your own thinking and your own feeling around this past trauma. I pulled the Celebration card and I pulled the Master card. And so you may be recognizing where you've been like, that was so traumatic. That was so hard. I went through this situation and it hurt me. And you instead may be able to like shift it Sagittarius style and be like, oh my God, I see the blessings that came from that situation. I understand why I needed that Thunderbolt experience in my life. And I can celebrate that. I can see how it's made me a master. I can see how it's enhanced my mastery. I can see how it's enhanced my experience. So if anything is coming up in this full moon energy, as we built to the full moon, that has been some of this trauma, this may be part of the call to see, how has this helped me? How has this been a gift? And in doing that, you're going to leave some room to co-create, bring some new, wonderful, beautiful things into your life. Again, I think this kind of might, you know, fill in with some of the slow down energy, you know, that we've been pulling back. There's still been some work to do. There's been some inner shifts that have needed to happen. So, you know, pay attention to that stuff that's coming up. I also pulled the exhaustion card. And for me, exhaustion, I feel this when I have to process these old things. When I have an old thing coming up, whether it's a past life or it's some, you know, deep soul work or some trauma that I have to look through in my life, I get tired. I get quiet, I tend to not answer my phone, and I just kind of like hang out with my cats and like zone in and like, okay, what's going on? What do I need to feel? And sometimes I know it on a conscious level and sometimes I don't. So if you are feeling that exhaustion and you don't know what's consciously going on, I think go with it, because I think that's part of this process of release with this full moon. I also want to mention that this full moon, I was looking at the Sabian symbol for it because, you know, I love those. And I didn't actually mark where it's at, so it'll take me a second to find it. But the Sabian symbol for 1 degree Sagittarius is retired Army veterans gather to reawaken old memories. So I think that goes along with the trauma, the trauma energy, like we have these old memories that are coming up to be processed. But I also think that it goes along with, you know, years ago, I had something downloaded me. I was driving. It just was like, shoop, like this knowledge. And basically what it was, you know, the Library of Alexandria was destroyed. And it had so much ancient knowledge in there. And what I was told in this download was that souls that are on this planet right now have that knowledge. That knowledge that was lost, that was destroyed, is being brought forward again. And so you may be one of these people bringing forward this knowledge, you know, that was destroyed at one time. So really be willing to center and pay attention to what's coming up for you with this full moon, because it may be some of your trauma, but it may be also some of this, you know, other deeper knowledge that's wanting to come to the surface and help us in our processes. Nicole?
Yeah, I'm getting some really old stuff too. I have the past life card, but I look at all these cards I have around this one card. So let's show you all this. The compromise card, the miser card, in between that is courage, and then isolation, politics, clinging to the past, and past lives. So what I'm getting in the center of all of that is the courage, because I think that there is an old pattern maybe in relationships that you feel very hurt by, betrayed by, but I'm also getting that you can play victim to this thing that keeps happening to you, but you're showing up for it, and you might even be showing up like it. And this is not to make you shameful in any way, but if you spot it, you might have it too. You know, you spot it, you got it kind of thing. And I'm getting that energy for this. So the best way that you can move through that is to have courage and put yourself in the light. Hold on, there's something else going through. Yeah, because if you can unveil your masks, that's going to be the most important thing that you can do for this energy. Also, I'm getting that you're being assisted. I got the celestial card and I have assistance. So you're getting assisted by more of a celestial force. Like you're being encouraged to do this. But I've said this before. If you're having a hard time looking at where you're showing up for it, or you're doing, or admitting that you're doing the same thing that you've been complaining about, which is hard sometimes. The ego doesn't want to admit that it's flawed. The ego doesn't want to admit that you're showing up in the way that you've been complaining about. Sure, I understand that. But it is a very powerful practice to do when you can really see where you're showing up in the same way that's frustrating you externally. I know that, you know, the reason why we isolate ourselves when we're starting to have that come online for us is because it's very shameful. It's very embarrassing, or it can feel that way. But no, and then we feel like we're the only ones dealing with that. And we're the only ones that have that, and it could, you know, like poor us. But by the way, we all have it. We all have those things. A lot of it's just a human nature thing of all the things that we feel shameful of. So if there is something in your life that you don't want to take responsibility for, have the courage to do so, because that's where you really grow. That's where your backbone comes from, and that's where maturity comes from. That's also when you become a whole being, when you can not just own your good qualities, but also own your bad qualities and be aware of them when they're showing up. And that's what I think this Sagittarius full moon is going to be about, is making you aware on another level of some things of your own stuff, or where you showed up in those past relationships. You know, take responsibility. And I do believe that it's in a relationship realm. And I think that you will feel better and you start healing with that situation, where you can really find where you show up. I've said that before, but it feels like on a whole nother level.
It's really cool. I like that. So our final aspect this week is Mercury direct. Woo! Mercury is going direct on Sunday, May 22nd. It is going direct at 6:20 a.m. And I want to just say, like, it's not like Mercury goes direct and immediately everything's like hunky-dory perfect. We're still going to be in a shadow period. We're still going to be working through lessons. We're still going to be gaining understanding. And that's going to be, I think, kind of the theme of Mercury moving direct. And definitely like the first, you know, first week or so of Mercury direct is getting that perspective. I'm starting with this card, the Observer card. And so this card is just saying, get some perspective from this distance. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about your worth? What really did come up for you? I pulled the Clinging to the Past card and the Letting Go and the Consciousness card. And it's basically to me saying, like, be willing to look at what you went through. Don't be just like, been there, done that, done. Take that perspective and see, because there's still some lessons in it for you, and there's still going to be some letting go to do around this. And now we have this, this perspective from Mercury moving direct around our worth, around our productivity, around our talents, around our beauty, and around how we're showing up on this physical planet as the divine beings that we are. So be willing to look at it. And, Nicole's advice about, Sun and Gemini, I think is really pertaining to this. Be willing to write, like actually get out your, journal and be like, this was my retrograde experience. This is what I worked through. I know for myself, I've done some deep work during this time. So, be willing to let it go, but actually take some time, that's consciousness card, and look at it, observe it, because by your writing it down, by your willingness to look at it, you're going to get some new perspective and get some new lessons around it. I also pulled the Astro card, Fertility. It says this is a perfect time for you to start new projects, access new ideas, and give birth to new conditions. So, it's like, here goes Mercury direct. Take this information from this perspective and use it so that you can begin these new projects. I think, again, by you looking at it, it's going to give you some information to help you dive into something that maybe you've been like kind of waiting for till Mercury went direct. The universe is like, now's the perfect time. Dive in. Let's begin. But first, honor yourself, honor your experience. That's one of the things that you do at the end of yoga class. You do the Savasana. And Savasana is part of honoring your experience, honoring that I just did this class. I just went through this experience. So do this to honor this experience, this Mercury retrograde, because even though it may be a pain in the butt sometimes, it is always here for your highest good, and it's always here to help you. So if you can take that time and honor it, you're honoring yourself and you're honoring the universe, and that's beautiful. Nicole?
Yeah, I'll start with this. I'm getting the change of mind. And I think that this Mercury retrograde time has been able to change your mind on something. You might be getting a new perspective. And I love what Mimi said. You have to write out those things because you have to see it and all the lessons you've learned, you're seeing the world in another way. And so if you can take a look at it in another way, like writing it down and seeing it as the observer, those lessons can start to integrate and really funnel down better. And that you can take them and have a practical application with all the things that you've learned. Because a lot of them, like if you have the awareness but don't use it in practical application, you only get it on one dimension. Where this, it wants to come all the way through and manifest to change your life in a more full way. And so what I'm getting is, we got to bring whatever way you do it, you might end up starting to share it in another way, but you really have to integrate this experience, like really bring it in and ground it into this physical way. And then I have the Thunderbolt card and tuning in as well, and they're in reverse. So whatever upheaval that you went to, now it's time to turn it within and really go in with them. And also back to the fear thing, right? So getting a new relationship with fear, this tuning in card, it's like all these like dark little entities around the head. And this woman is sitting in her peace, even though they're still there. That's the change of mind. Is the change of mind just might be the voices are still there. You're just not listening to them in the same way you used to. You're having a new relationship to the fear, a new relationship to the voices. And I've been saying this a lot in the last couple of weeks is just because you have thoughts doesn't mean you have to listen and believe everything you think. You don't have to believe everything you think. And that's, and then we go back to the innocence card. Get simple, get quiet, get into nature. And just remember the beauty and the gift of what this natural world is giving to you. but you have to take your power back from any fear and have a new relationship with your thoughts.
Beautiful. Awesome. So that's it for this week. Whole bunch of shifts, lots of good work to be done this week. And speaking of that, I'm offering a reading special right now for at least this week. We'll see how long it lasts. But it's 30 for 30. So it's a 30-minute Astro reading, Astro Tarot reading, Astro Tarot reading healing, Reiki, you know, chakra alignment, whatever kind of like fits your mold. And I'm just doing 30 for 30. So, you know, if you feel called to get a reading, and it doesn't have to be right now, you can buy it now and do it later, or buy a gift for somebody, but I'm offering that. And I know Nicole has some stuff that she's been offering too.
Yeah, so tonight I'm going to be doing free readings online. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the West Coast, that's 5 p.m. And I'll be going for about an hour, hour and a half. I'll be on Facebook Live, so you can, we'll put a link on Gaia Blooming. We'll put a link on my personal account and my professional account, which is Coaching with Nikki. And so I'll be doing that. I'll also be offering reading specials if you don't end up getting your name getting picked, because what happens is if you get into the room, you put your name, tell Katie, you just got to comment in the room and say, hey, I would like to be put in the drawing. We'll pull them at random. If you get picked, awesome. If you don't, you can always book one. And I've had a bunch of readings from them last week, and everybody was in a really good place, and I really enjoyed them. I mean, it was exactly what they needed, and a lot of people didn't even know who I was yet. They were like, I just happened on, and I totally resonated. So I was like, that's cool. So join me tonight. It's a really good time. And even if you don't do anything, you just listen. A lot of people got a lot from just listening, because a lot of times you're going through the same thing that person is going through that I'm reading, and it all pertains to you as well. A lot of people are like, oh my God, that was totally for me too. I was like, well, that worked. That's the way it works.
Awesome. All right. Well, then also check out daily, GaiaBlooming.com, Gaia Blooming Facebook page, as we post our daily guidance, helping you get through all this shift this week. Coaching with Nikki. Nicole does her. She's Nikki and Nicole. She's a Gemini rising. She posts her work on Instagram on Coaching with Nikki as well. So check that out and, you know, help yourself move through these shifts. So thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste.